We are live back in studio. Check this background out. Feels good to be back. We missed it here. The show is on. It's Bellator 261, Johnson versus Moldavsky. I'm going to go through the full card, predictions, and the betting odds, and maybe we'll talk about even some of the prop bets that are available at the moment. Looking forward to chatting it up with you guys in the live chat as well, so feel free to join. I will try to answer the live chat every 3 fights or so. If you're watching on replay, appreciate you coming in too. You can obviously skip past that live chat interaction part if you're not interested in it. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Goal on this video, we need 110 likes for these Bellator 261 predictions. We're doing Bellator 261 now, and then later on today, we will also be doing the PFL predictions. So we got a ton of coverage coming today, and we're going to start it off here. Smash the like button, guys, and subscribe if you guys are new here. We'll start it off with the first fight of the night all the way down at the bottom. Let's quickly get the Bellator 261 screen up. Decent poster for this event. All the way at the bottom, John Teixeira versus John DeJesus. Battle here between two Johns. On the side of John Teixeira, definitely decent striking skill, Muay Thai-esque style, I would say. Patient with his striking as well, and does have some pretty solid kicks. He really likes to throw the right hand, and I do feel like at times it's telegraphed. You can see that right hand coming. Granted, the ground game is where he shines. He's a very good grappler. On the opposite side, John DeJesus is a pretty rangy striker, 5'9", 76-inch reach. Does have some pretty good straight punches and some really decent kicks as well. He's definitely not a bad fighter. Also fighting out of the southpaw stance. Definitely striking-wise, if it is on the feet, John DeJesus is absolutely game and could end up winning this fight on the feet. My fear is, will this fight go to the ground? I believe Teixeira is going to look to wrestle. He's going to be chain wrestling, trying to grapple most of this fight, and he needs to get inside that reach. That's going to be an issue. Teixeira, pushing towards 35 years of age, is coming off a loss against a fun prospect, Mikaru Asakara. Does have some wins, but at one point, took some bad losses in Bellator. Granted, some years ago. Odds for this fight, you might not even be able to see them. Let me make sure that they're available there. Okay, you can see the John DeJesus odds. It is plus 175 DeJesus, minus 222 for Teixeira. So like around plus 175, minus 225, depending on what website you're betting on. This was a really tricky one for me to call. It just has to go the way of Teixeira in my mind with the grappling attack. I don't think he's a shot fighter. He didn't look terrible in his last bout. Granted, what was that, a year and a half ago? A year and 5 months ago? I still think he gets to win. I'm going to pick John Teixeira, but at the minus 225, I don't love the bet here. I think there's value in the dog, John DeJesus, most definitely, but just can he stop the grappling? I think Teixeira will get a hold of him, get him to the ground, control, win himself a grind-heavy and grappling-heavy decision. So we're riding with John Teixeira to start the night off, but we're not loving the bet on him value-wise. On one side, we have Taylor Johnson, the Tombstone, versus the Boogeyman, Lance Wright. This is actually a pretty fun fight. I'm excited to see this matchup here between grapplers. Both are grapplers. Both primarily like to be in the top position with grappling. Granted, some better, maybe bottom game submissions on the side of Taylor Johnson, and striking Lance Wright kind of awkward. I'll be honest, not a ton on Lance Wright. 6 pro bouts on the other side. Taylor Johnson, he's been in there with some all right names. He beat Ed Ruth. He fought Muniz on the Contender Series, and he also fought against Johnny Eblen in the last one, and he lost, which no shame in losing to Johnny Eblen or Muniz. And an impressive win over Ed Ruth. It was the, I believe, heel hook submission, or was it a leg lock? Yeah, it was the heel hook, unorthodox attack forward as well. Against Lance Wright, I think both guys going to look to grapple. Could be a pretty weird fight here. As far as the odds go, plus 230 for Wright. Johnson, minus 275. I have to stick with Taylor Johnson. I do think he'll end up winning this matchup against Lance Wright. Lance Wright does have a recent loss to a fighter who's not all that great, Hayward Charles, who's 16-13 by submission. I feel like Taylor Johnson's submission second round is a realistic outcome here, especially with Lance Wright also going to be a guy that's going to be engaging the grappling. You're going to see him looking for takedowns, looking to get on top. And I think Taylor Johnson's wrestling is better than Lance Wright, and his submission game is as well. So I'll ride Taylor Johnson. But again, with Bellator, some of these odds for these early matchups line-wise don't have a ton of value. And, you can't absolutely count out Lance Wright or John DeJesus in the last one. We'll ride a Taylor Johnson win here. He is a fairly strong favorite, and I do think he wins this fight by a submission, but not an easy bout by any means. Let's keep on moving, though. Jalon Bates versus Cody Matthews, third fight of the night. On the side of Jalon Bates, you got an undefeated fighter who I think was also undefeated with the amateurs. Let me just make sure. Yeah, the guy went 9-0 in the amateurs. He's 2-0 as a pro MMA fighter. Some nice submission skills, grappling game, high level. On the other side, Cody Matthews, actually decent amateur record as well. I believe he was unbeaten as an amateur, 5-0. Then he loses his debut split, won his last fight. He's taken a step up in competition, especially it's also up a weight class. He's fought at 25 in the last fight. He's also 5'3" versus 5'9". Serious range advantage on the side of Jalon Bates, which both guys being wrestlers, the taller guy is going to be very tricky to take down here, especially in the clinch. That length is going to be an issue. Striking, I got to say advantage Bates. Submission skills, advantage Bates. Wrestling skills, advantage Bates. Everything is advantage Bates here. Just the size alone would make you probably pick against Cody Matthews if Jalon Bates had any bit of grappling skill. But he's a dominating style of grappler who looks for dominant position and finish when he's on top. Cody Matthews on the other side does have some decent wrestling. As I said, he's got a boxing-heavy attack, and he's all right with his striking for sure. Significantly undersized for this matchup. He's going to be outclassed here. I don't think it's all that close. I'm going second round TKO for Jalon Bates, and I do think probably ground and pound TKO, potentially from that full mount position. Could also see some type of choke submission for Jalon, but I'll ride TKO for Jalon Bates. He's obviously going to be a fairly strong favorite here, minus 460 to plus 330. I do think that he's a good play as far as like likelihood of success, but again, value. Bellator's value on the odds, they make it tough because they know they have some big mismatches. But let's keep it moving. Isaiah Hoktik versus Corey Samuels. If you look at Corey Samuels' amateur MMA record, he was like 1 win and 9 losses. It was just really bad amateur, but he's 2-2 as a pro. Granted, one of those wins, disqualification, does have a recent win against an 0-1 fighter. Really hasn't fought anybody of note, but does have a 2-2 pro record. He takes on the debuting Isaiah Hokit, who's a former collegiate wrestler. That collegiate wrestling, I think, is going to carry him far in this matchup. You look at Samuels, he was putting his back before. He seems to be pretty rangy with his striking, but really susceptible to takedowns. Also a southpaw. I think that Isaiah Hokik is going to get on the legs, get the takedown, and I do think he's going to get the TKO. I would assume in the first round. I'm going to pick Isaiah to win this bout. He's taking on Corey Samuels, who's taken tons of losses as an amateur and does also have a 2-2 professional record. As far as the odds for that matchup, let's see if we can find it here. Minus 750 to plus 500. Disgusting odds. A lot of these fights have really nasty odds, but I do think Isaiah Hokik is going to dominate here and get the win. Let's keep on moving up, and I'll actually check up on that live chat as well as we are here. Shout out to everybody watching live. Shout out to everybody watching on replay as well. And if you have not yet, smash that like button, goal on this video. We need 110 likes. We're back in studio. We're back with the live streams. Cannot wait for Bellator. The live stream, we're doing it Friday for Bellator. We'll also be giving PFL live updates during the event, but I'll try to have both fights on, but I'm going to be prioritizing the Bellator play-by-play. Back in studio, man. We're back. We're back where the magic happens in studio. Let's get to this next fight of the night because this matchup is actually a very interesting one. It's our featured prelim of the night, and I think it is one that really is worth talking about. It's one where the excitement of the card truly begins. Soren Bak versus Bobby Lee. Bak is an exciting prospect, 14-1. Definitely has a unique striking style. It's almost like watching, how, the old 1800 boxers hold their hands. It's unorthodox. It's unique. And it's actually very good. He's also well-rounded Greco-Roman wrestling background, good submission game. Definitely an aggressive fighter. On the other side, you got Bobby Lee, who's also pretty aggressive with his striking. Is going to have to look to get inside and wrestle. He likes to, at the very least. Does have some solid kickboxing skills as well. Comes in with the wrestling background, too. I'll be honest, guys. Soren Bak has had some tough fights against not elite level guys in the past. Sure, he's had some wins against some nice names over in Cage Warriors, but he's in the States now. He's fighting different type of fighters here. He's fighting a wrestling heavy guy here, and Bobby Lee, who's a plus 240 dog to Soren Bak at the minus 300. From what I've seen of Soren Bak, I'm going to have to ride on the underdog train. I'm going to go Bobby Lee by a decision. I think he can find a way here. Granted, Soren Bak winning potentially by a submission could have value because I think he could catch Bobby Lee in a guillotine choke. But I do feel like stylistically, I don't know. I just think Bobby Lee could surprise a lot of people and beat Soren Bak here. I think Bak is a beatable guy. I don't think he's this unbeatable. I'm not saying he doesn't have potential to be a Bellator champion. Maybe down the line. He's only 28 years of age. But I see deficiencies in the style. I see hitability striking. I see susceptible to takedowns at points, and we have seen him put on his back before. And I think a guy like Bobby Lee, chain wrestling, hard-nosed dude, is going to end up beating him. So I'm going to ride Bobby Lee on a competitive decision to win this fight over Soren Bak here. Bak, fun prospect, but I think Bobby Lee takes him. Let's get to the main card. It's Christian Edwards versus Simon Biyong. Interesting fight here between these two. Short notice replacement is Simon. He was supposed to be on the card, but his fight ended up getting canceled, as did Christian Edwards, perfectly matching them up. Two of the tallest guys in this light heavyweight division, 6'6" versus 6'5". Biyong's a pretty raw talent, even though in his last fight he beat a pretty experienced fighter whose name is Vitaly Shemenkov, who was 24-12. He won that fight by a second-round TKO. It was full mount, ground and pound. He was all right with the striking, does have a bit of holes. He makes a couple mistakes. Like, he's raw talent, very raw talent. Christian Edwards, yes, less experienced professionally, just is so much more technical. I think he has his game figured out a lot better at this point. He's a pretty well-rounded prospect. The kickboxing is very good. I like everything I see from Christian Edwards. He's a dominating fighter. It's a good matchup here. He's fighting a guy tall, so that will be a fun test for him. And I think that Christian Edwards is going to win this bout, and I will take him by a second-round submission over Simon Biyong here. I do think potentially rear naked choke. First round, Biyong will be dangerous, especially his physical strength in the clinch, but I think Christian Edwards, technically superior fighter by a fairly strong margin. I will ride with him to win this fight. I don't think the odds are out yet. Ben Parrish was supposed to be fighting Christian Edwards, and Edwards was a huge favorite there. If I had to guess, the odds are probably going to sit around Edwards minus 300. I would say potential play for sure if you're parlaying him up. I do think he beats Simon Biyong, who I just don't see a ton of skills out of just yet, besides being a raw athletic specimen. Let's keep on moving up. Myles Jury, Sidney Outlaw. This is a good matchup. I really like this fight, actually. I think that this is, two guys towards the at minimum mid-level, you know what, take that back, towards the top of Bellator's lightweight division worldwide, maybe mid-level lightweights, but they're both good, and I think that both could emerge as title challengers, but the only issue is Pitbull has held up that division, being the champion and fighting in that tournament down a weight class. I think Myles Jury, though, things to like definitely are there. Smooth kickboxing. He's always been very good striking, but he's really smooth. He's got really nice knees and kicks up the center. Also is pretty patient with his striking and moves well side to side. Lateral movement is high level. Very good range control, and his wrestling defense is always very good. On the other side, Outlaw's a pretty solid striker who's pretty athletic too. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt he brings in here, and does have some decent offensive wrestling. Granted, 3-inch height advantage in favor of Jury. Granted, the reach not on his side still. I do think Jury's a more small framed guy, so potentially the arms may still be longer, because that reach also plays into factor the width of your shoulders, not just arm length. So not super relevant each and every time. I feel like Myles Jury wins this fight. I'm going to take him by a decision. I think he outpoints Sidney Outlaw here. Outlaw's going to look to wrestle, but I've just never been a huge Outlaw fan as far as him emerging as a real top contender. He's good, he is, but I do think Myles Jury, better striker. If he can fend off the wrestling heavy attack, I think he'll beat Sidney Outlaw by a decision. I believe he will do so. I'm not saying he won't be taken down. I think he might be, but I think he finds a way back up and even threatens off the back. Plus 120. Excuse me, plus 120 for Myles Jury to minus 145 for Sidney Outlaw. I'll take the plus 120 dog in Myles Jury, and I got him winning this fight by a decision here. Let's keep on moving up. Daniel Weichel versus Keoni Diggs. This is an exciting matchup. On one side, you have a proven contender who's been in there with big names, has fought everybody pretty much in the featherweight division. On the other side, you have Keoni Diggs, the hot prospect on the rise, unbeaten. Granted, he's not a young fighter. He's 34 years of age, pushing to 35, so it's now or never. This is one of those fights. If Diggs wins, I really think he can move towards contendership. A loss would be detrimental, and I don't really see him challenging for the title after that point because it's going to be a long road back. He's 9-0. He's almost 35. It's now or never in this in this featherweight division. In his last fight, it was at lightweight. Stylistically speaking, Daniel Weichel is a solid striker. That Thai-esque style, does have some decent boxing skills, but it's pretty hittable at times. I feel like sometimes he's a bit stiff and straight shots down the center will land. You can get him into a brawl and he'll make mistakes, but normally he's pretty technical. On the opposite side, Diggs is a very well-rounded southpaw. Technical with his striking. His game is technical striking, does have some really nice low kicks, and has trained with Benson Henderson for a number of years. You see Bendo kind of in his style. It works very well for Keoni Diggs. His top control is extremely good. His submission skills are high level. Overall, the kid is just a straight prospect on the rise that I really think can emerge as a featherweight contender, and it's now or never, as I said. Reach advantage by 2 inches. I think that plays into the striking game a bit because I do think from that mid-range, his technical striking is going to be extremely high level. I am going to pick Keoni Diggs to win this fight by a unanimous decision and defeat Daniel Weichel. He is actually a slight favorite, so the bookies do agree. -145 to +120. I like the Keoni Diggs play at that like -140-ish range because I do think there's some value there. And I think that he's going to win this fight. So we're riding Keoni Diggs for the victory here in our exciting featured bout of the night. But let's check up on that live chat before we get to that co-main event. If you guys haven't yet, smash that like button. As I said, goal on this video, we're gonna need 110 likes. All right, let's see what's going on in the live chat. What happened to Ben Simmons? You mean the basketball player? When the picks are opened up in the sportsbook, depends what sportsbook you're using. They should be there. Jalen Bates, Christian Edwards parlay is what you like. Yeah, I think it could definitely hit, man. I do. Bak is good. Yeah, Bak is good, but he is beatable. LeBron James, what? Edwards is fighting. Yeah, they changed up his opponent. Yeah, these cards are wild, man. Yeah, I want to see those Edwards odds too. I'm assuming they'll be out in the next maybe 12 hours, I'm hoping. I think, but by the very least, they'll be out for the weigh-in recap tomorrow. So that's going to be a good thing. I'm looking forward to that weigh-in recap so we can see everybody on the scales. But let's get up to that co-main event. And guys, as I said, smash that like button, subscribe if you're new here. We need 110 likes on this video. And we're talking about this next bout. It's Liz Carmouche, the Gorilla, versus Kana Watanabe. I'll just say this straight up. I'm not a big fan of Kana Watanabe. I don't think she's great. Granted, I'm not saying I'm the biggest Liz Carmouche fan either. When is Liz Carmouche really in that much of an entertaining fight? I can't remember. Maybe the Ronda Rousey one 10 years ago. Matchup-wise, Liz is very physically strong. They say Kana Watanabe is physically strong. There's levels. Liz is way stronger. Her ground game is very good. Her wrestling skills are good. Her striking is decent enough and definitely capable to give problems to Kana Watanabe. Watanabe's a judoka-style fighter. Does have some okay striking. She's unbeaten, but I just see so many technical mistakes, and she had a very competitive fight in the last one. It was against Alejandra Lara, split decision. Prior to that, beat Elara Joani. On the other side, you see wins against Vanessa Porto and Deanna Bennett, but a loss then obviously to Shevchenko. But I mean, Liz Carmouche was top line in the UFC flyweight division with the females. She beats most of those girls. She's going to give Kana Watanabe her first loss here. It's probably not going to be entertaining. It's going to be grappling and grind heavy, maybe a couple combinations, but none really to get excited about. We'll be watching it live, so you'll see my reaction. I damn sure hope I'm wrong here, but this might be one of those fights where it's not all that fun to watch. So I'm going to pick Liz Carmouche to win this fight. I think she wins a decision, and she's an extremely strong confidence pick on my part, to be 100% honest with you guys. Around -225 to +190, depending where you get her. I think she's a good to-go play. She's going to beat the young Kana Watanabe here. Granted, not even that young. Watanabe's 32. Carmouche at 37 looks as good as she ever has. She's in incredible shape, physically so strong. She's going to beat Watanabe, and I'm picking her by a decision here. When Liz Carmouche fights girls of similar size to her, the advantage definitely strongly in her favor. But let's move on up to the main event. Valentin Moldavsky versus Tim Johnson. You got like a new breed heavyweight, more smaller heavyweight, 235, incredible shape, only 6'1", not super tall, well-rounded. Most definitely the takedown game of Valentin Moldavsky is fantastic. He gets on top. He does very good work. Tim Johnson on the other side is a very good wrestler in his own right. With Tim Johnson, you got to worry about his power because he is sneaky with the knockout power. And if he has you thinking low for the takedown, he can come up top and catch you with something big. And when he's on top, he's actually really heavy. He'll look towards a TKO, but he'll also grind out decisions. Tim Johnson can be a boring fighter, but he can also be absolute entertainment. Really depends on the matchup. I think he's going to be forced to fight entertaining here. He's going to be forced probably to stand up. I do think Moldavsky could potentially land some takedowns. The game of Moldavsky is very high level. I like how he gets inside. He gets that clinch position, and then he'll trip you too. He's very athletic. Special prospect for sure in the heavyweight division. Small heavyweight, but I think it works really well for him. Fast heavyweight, most definitely. Striking game is good. Grappling game is good. Overall, well-rounded skill set. I'll be honest, I'm very pumped for this matchup. If I have to give you the true prediction, I think we're looking at a TKO win for Valentin Moldavsky. I think he'll stop Tim Johnson around the 3rd or 4th round, and I think he'll end up winning that interim world title belt, and then he's next for Ryan Bader, no matter what happens for Bader. It's interesting. This is the first ever Bellator interim championship, period, and it's in this heavyweight division, which I'll be honest, Bellator's heavyweight division has been terrible for a number of years. You got Ryan Bader, the champ, who fights at light heavyweight. I think you should have probably just stripped them all together and just made this a title fight, but honestly, it's the most unattractive title fight ever, because if Tim Johnson has the belt, that would just be strange. I mean, Tim Johnson's a good fighter, don't get me wrong, but as far as like competing on a world scale for heavyweights is like, oh, this is our contender, this is our champion. You don't really want Tim Johnson. They want Valentin Moldavsky most definitely. I think the matchup definitely favors him. He's a strong favorite, minus 300 to plus 240, and I do think he's kind of like a lock play. So I'm going to ride Valentin Moldavsky. Overall, we're going to score this card, we'll give it a grade from F all the way to A. I'm going to sadly call this a C card. It's really lacking some depth towards the bottom. Okay main event, kind of slow co-main. The Weichel fight and Diggs fight is awesome. Honestly, 4 out of the 5 fights on the main card are pretty good, but I'm not loving all the matchups. I think it's an okay card. It's a C card, maybe a C+. Soren Bak, Bobby Lee will be fun to watch, but you have a lot of new blood towards the back end and some guys that don't have as much hype behind them. But I do want to talk about some parlays before we get out of here. I'll also be checking up on that live chat. Throw in a parlay you want me to give you the odds for, give my opinion on. Just let me know. I appreciate everybody for tuning in on replay, for tuning in live, for chatting it up in the live chat. Smash that like button. Go 110 likes on this video. First video back in studio, and it does feel damn good to be here. So let's get it pumping with the first parlay potentially to play here. All right, let's see what we got. We're going to have to zoom out a bit, so it might be a bit blurry on your screen, guys, so I do apologize for that. I just want you to be able to see all of the odds. All right, so we are going to play some parlays. I'm going to give you my 2-hitter quitter parlay that I'm actually really feeling. It's Valentin Moldavsky, Keoni Diggs, for plus 125 money. I think it's pretty decent value, but it's not fantastic, to be 100% honest, but I still think it definitely does hit here if you have to add in somebody else potentially. I do like Christian Edwards, and let's say he was at minus 435 for his fight. It would be plus 177 if you had him in, but we won't talk about Edwards until the weigh-in recap. Potentially some plays on him. If you put like a Jalon Bates in there, it's not going to give you a ton of value because he's just such a strong favorite. Taylor Johnson brings you to plus 207. Honestly, this 2-fighter parlay is the one that I kind of like here. Valentin Moldavsky and Keoni Diggs. If you want to add in somebody else, I like Liz Carmouche. I do think it'd be more risky to play some of the dogs in your parlays and some of the other fights. I mean, if you're feeling potentially playing with Myles Jury, it brings you to plus 616, but that's higher risk. So if you're looking for like a 2 to 3 fighter parlay, I like Moldavsky Diggs, I like Moldavsky Carmouche, and I like Moldavsky Diggs and Carmouche. Those are like 3 fighters that I'm really feeling on this card. And like value-wise, Bellator's prelims aren't always great bets, especially this week. You kind of want to dog or pass it. Like Maybe you want to bet John De Jesus over John Teixeira simply because, I mean, you look at that matchup, sure, it could go the way of Teixeira, but De Jesus could also get the better of him striking and keep it on the feet with that reach advantage. Because it's a damn big reach advantage. I just think the takedowns, man, is going to be a problem for John De Jesus eventually. Maybe not even in that first round, but eventually I see him put on his back. And also, let's check out some of the props they have available. Are we going under 4.5 for this Moldavsky and Tim Johnson fight? I'd rather just bet Moldavsky inside the distance, but I also think Moldavsky is a guy that's willing to go the distance. So keep that in mind. This fight here, fight goes the distance, minus 265 for the Liz Carmouche Kana Watanabe fight. Yeah, it's going the distance. I think that's actually a pretty decent play, and maybe you parlay that up with something. Or when the Liz Carmouche decision prop bet drops, do you play that? I think there's value there as well. Let's see some of these other bets. Daniel Weichel, Keoni Diggs, another one I think is probably going the distance here, even though both guys are very good strikers and potential finishers, but both are very technical, and that's why I'm going to ride with the decision here for Keoni Diggs. Fight goes the distance, minus 155. There's some good plays already. I can't wait for all the props to come out tomorrow for that weigh-in recap. The weigh-in recap essentially will become the best bets video as well for this Bellator card, because the odds are just not all out in time. So it's going to be like a best bets / weigh-in recap prediction video. We'll make it happen. It's going to work. I think we did it last week as well, and we'll be releasing that tomorrow. Myles, Jury, Sidney, Outlaw, another fight I feel like goes the distance. And the fight goes the distance plays are not terrible here. If you can maybe parlay up this fight goes the distance with the Liz Carmouche fight goes the distance for like even money, I don't think that's a bad play, because I kind of see these fights going the distance. I think we're going to see some distance fights here. Jalen Bates, Keoni Diggs parlay. Yeah, I think that's a decent play. I think the only issue is you're not going to get a ton of value, but yeah, let's get a 9-legger using UFC, Bellator, and PFL. Yeah, I'm going to do a UFC, Bellator, PFL. I'm probably going to do a this week's best MMA bets video and just combined all the leagues, because I really do want to play with everything. You like Moldavsky? Yeah, so do I. Edwards and Bobby Lee. Yeah, I like Edwards, and Bobby Lee's a dog play. My dog of the night. If I'm gonna have the dog of the night at value wise, I guess you're gonna, it's Jury and Bobby Lee are my dogs of the night, I would say. I like Diggs, Edwards, Bates, Barcelos, and Shav parlay. Yeah, I think that's actually a really good play, the one you just played. Like, if you're cross playing Bellator, UFC, you can definitely cash in nice for it. I will say be careful playing PFL, because we know crazy stuff happens. But Kayla Harrison, I'll give you guys a spoil. You guys kind of know which way that's going to go with Cindy Dandois, who's just not good. We'll be doing those PFL full card predictions later on today. Probably will be towards like 9-10 o'clock tonight on Eastern time. I still just got to get a couple more things done, and then I got some stuff to do during the day after this video. But we will be back. We will be grinding. And guys, smash that like button if you haven't yet. I appreciate everybody tuning in. We got PFL predictions dropping later on today. We got the weigh-in recap for PFL and Bellator dropping tomorrow. We have the UFC weigh-in recap Friday, and we have the Bellator full card fight companion will be here. And we'll also give you the PFL updates as well, but we're covering Bellator mainly. I hope that everything's better for PFL this week, because last week was kind of trash, right? What a weird card. I'm just glad to be back in studio. I know you guys are probably glad to have this beautiful background and the nice lighting here. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Let's get 110 likes on this video, so smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new here. I appreciate all of you guys for being here. I will see you all in the next couple hours. Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you guys tonight. Thank you all so much.